G'day folks, Connor here from CW's Tech Reviews, back with another video, and today we're doing my full review of the Umidigi A3 Pro. So without further ado, let's get stuck into my video. Let's go. Now just quickly, big shout out to Umidigi for sending me the A3 Pro to review, and there are links down below in the description to Umidigi's website and also to Amazon and eBay if you would like to pick one of these up. Okay folks, so the Umidigi A3 Pro is a small, cheap little bundle of tech. This smartphone comes in about 150 Aussie dollars, that's about 90 to 100 US dollars, so it's pretty cheap. You're not really going to get much cheaper and still get a smartphone with all the whiz-bang features that you're going to get on a flagship or even mid-range phone. The components that make up this device are a MediaTek 6739, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, 3300 mAh battery, a 5.7 inch LCD display, a 12 and 5 megapixel cameras on the back, and an 8 megapixel camera on the front. And this is running triple card slots, and you can whack in two 4G SIM cards or a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. Now the first thing I want to talk about is the build and design of this device. This device looks like an iPhone, yet it costs $150. So you are not going to get the build quality of an iPhone, yet you are getting a really nice looking phone for what you're paying. 2.5D glass on the front, plastic on the back and steel around the edges, a 1440 by 720p display running in at 293 ppi, and it looks and feels really nice. Now I do have to say this is probably the perfect size smartphone for me. So I don't have big massive hands, I've got medium sized hands, and rocking a 5.7 inch display for me has been an absolute breath of fresh air, and I can't speak highly enough about the comfort level and size of this phone. And you can see from these side-by-side shots with the iPhone and the A3 Pro that just at first look, you could easily mistaken the two. Build and design aside, I'm going to look at the performance of the A3 Pro. Now, for those of you that are thinking, it's not going to match a 12 gigs of RAM Galaxy S10 Plus, then you're right, it's not going to do that. This has 3 gigabytes of RAM and a MediaTek low-end chipset. But for what it has, it performs really well. Now I was using this for work and I was getting through a full day of use with it, and for performance I was doing one thing at a time. So one email at a time, one SMS at a time, replying to emails, taking the odd photo here and there. Nothing too strenuous on the device, and it performed really well. Now in saying that, I didn't play PUBG on it. Why? Because I don't think it would be able to cope with PUBG, but it did play some basic games fairly well. Like here I'm playing Sling Drift and you can see that it's coping just fine. So typical day for me, like I said, emails, phone calls, SMS, Instagram, Twitter, XDA, bit of YouTube, bit of Netflix, and that gets me through the day. And as long as I was doing one thing at a time on this device, it coped. Moving into software now, this is running stock Android. The only thing is it's running Android 8.1, but I don't think you will have too many problems with that. Now the security update that is currently on there is October 2018. There are a couple of different device or brand specific changes within the software, but nothing too outlandish. You're not even really going to notice it. It all looks like stock Android. Now it's definitely optimized for a medium display size with medium text. Changing it to small text and small display size, you're going to start to see some problems with the notch lining up with the applications. But other than that, the software is fine. I didn't have any problems with it. The software wasn't freezing or having too many major bugs or anything like that. Again, for the price point, I think you're going to be pretty happy with it. And it is nice to get a cheap little phone that's not some weird branded software that you've never heard of before. It's Android. We all know and love Android, and that's what you get on the Umidigi A3 Pro. Now moving into the camera on the back is a 12 and 5 megapixel shooter, and if the subjects that you're photographing are still and you're using a tripod, then you're going to get okay images. As you can see here, I took a few practice shots, and in good light I got some okay photos. And I'm going to say okay photos because that's all you're going to get. It's okay in good light. Once you get into low light, the image quality starts to drop a bit, but it still does the job. Now, if you're in a pinch and you need to snap a photo with this phone, you're going to be able to do it. It's not going to freeze. It never froze on me once like it has on some higher end devices. So the camera is going to get you through, and that's important. Front-facing 8-megapixel selfie camera is just fun, and there's a bit of a beauty mode and stuff like that in there. So, you know, again, you're going to get that selfie if you need to. The shutter is reasonably quick, and I do believe that that's half the battle when using a camera on a smartphone. And the video, again, it captures an image. It's nothing amazing, but it captures an image. Now, the battery life is something I am really impressed with the Umidigi A3 Pro. I was getting right through a whole day of use, and that for me is fairly impressive. Now, granted, it's not running the biggest engine in town, and it's not lighting the brightest and biggest display in town, but that all adds up to give you a battery that gets you from start to finish throughout the whole day. Now, I get up at 5 a.m. and I use my phone pretty constantly until I go to bed at around 11 p.m. or midnight every night, and the Umidigi A3 Pro got me through. Now, if I was having some big binge sessions on the old Netflix or YouTube, I was casting from here to the TV instead of using up the juice on the phone, but I'm really happy with what I did get in terms of battery life. And again, if you're going to be someone that this is the only phone that you can get, you're going to be happy with it. Now, the general use section of my review is where I look at how the phone performs through a day of typical use. The day for me starts at 5 a.m. I get up and I go for a run, and I use a running app to track my run through GPS and 4G networks. This goes for about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how far I choose to run. Once I get home from my run, a little bit of light social media, then get ready for work, and it's a 1 hour drive listening to a podcast on the way to work. Then I get to work, and it's pretty much just phone calls and SMSs with the occasional social media checking throughout, say, an 8 to 10 hour working day. And then it's a 1 hour podcast on the way home. And then that's where I would sit down, relax, a bit more social media, watch some YouTube, maybe study some online courses, and maybe watch a little bit of Netflix to wind down at the end of the day. That is a typical day for me, and the Umidigi A3 Pro got me through many of those days while I was reviewing it. And again, if this was the only phone I could afford, this would be the one I would choose. Now, if I had $300, I would get a $300 device because tech to me is important. But if I only had $150, the Umidigi A3 Pro would be right up there on the list of choices I could make. I wonder what you think about this phone and my review. Would you consider it if you only had $150 in your pocket? I definitely would. If you liked the video, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next video. Check out.